more and more young people coming through with significant knee injuries.
Football, rugby, netball, you're increasing your risk of an ACL injury.
Injuries is always bound to happen in basketball, and ACLs is definitely one of them.
Young people are spending a significant proportion of the time in front of their screens.
It's not good, is it? It's quite frightening, actually. You hope that people look after themselves and actually prepare right to look after their bodies.
There's an increased ACL injury rate in women and girls compared to men and boys.
There's no doubt that there are gender biases out there.
The biggest mental impact is not being able to play the sport that they're passionate about.
I don't let my patients go back for 12 months.
You lose a big part, a big chunk of your life.
I'm fed up, to be honest, of having that conversation.
We're going to just do pass and move, okay? All right, so all we're going to do is look for the spare man, so use your voices, okay?
Vast numbers of children and teenagers play sport every week across the UK. 85% of school-age students take part in approximately an hour of sport a week. Organised grassroots sport has lower numbers, but it translates to millions of girls and boys between the age of 7 and 20 playing sport. But there is a problem. A big problem.
Without doubt, every year we seem to be seeing more and more young people coming through with significant knee injuries, and primarily we're talking about ACL ruptures. The numbers are staggering and extremely worrying. For every one person that was having an ACL reconstruction in the late 90s, there's now 29 children having those surgeries. So the number of injuries is without a doubt
29-fold.
Yeah.
So all I want you to do is just find an angle pass, okay? Right, so we start basic first, okay?
Lee Taylor, an ex-pro player at Shrewsbury Town, Luton and Fulham, now grassroots coaching.
A little bit surprised, I guess, because you hope that people look after themselves and actually prepare right to look after their bodies. But then football's so popular now that actually people are playing everywhere. So I guess the game's probably never been as big as it has. But yeah, it's not good, is it? It's quite frightening, actually.
Evidence of a problem comes from multiple sources. Other surgeons and doctors are waving a warning flag.
For 20 years, we have known that there's an increased ACL injury rate.
We increased by 29-fold amount of operation. Devastating injuries that can cause complete change of the life trajectory and early risk of arthritis.
Okay, so here's a model of the knee, and just to point out some important structures, if I move the kneecap across, you can see here there's 4 main stabilising ligaments. The outside lateral collateral ligament, the inside medial collateral ligament, and the 2 cruciate ligaments that cross in the middle of the knee. The anterior cruciate ligament here runs in the same direction as your hands go in your pockets, forwards, downwards and inwards, and it runs about as thick as your little finger from the notch of the femur down to the top of the tibia, the shin bone here. When it's damaged, the position is a pivot shift where the knee actually rotates backwards and the ligament becomes ruptured, usually here at the notch.
People are committing to 1 or 2 sports at most at the moment, if they are going to be part of the local community. And they spend less time developing other skills that will be naturally developed when they are participating in multiple sports.
They're on screens, sedentary, and then suddenly they're in very organised, highly competitive sports environments. There's some evidence about, sport specialisation. So if you have a child who's very good at one sport, they might be pushed down that kind of route and only play that sport. Probably the second biggest reason is that there's a huge knowledge gap in the UK about the importance of injury prevention programmes and the importance of warming up kids. Mm-hmm. There's this myth in grassroots sport that kids don't get injured, so they don't need to warm up, just get off on the pitch and off you go. It couldn't be farther from the truth.
You look at Australia, you look at some of the Scandinavian countries, Netherlands, Canada, all of them have started trying to put together national programmes to deliver these warm-up programmes, and in the UK that really hasn't happened.
It's embarrassing to say that we're from the UK. We are so behind the rest of the world when it comes to injury prevention.
OK, finally we're getting this update on Beth Mead. She suffered a ruptured anterior cruciate ligaments injury.
The Lionesses captain Leah Williamson has ruptured her anterior cruciate ligament and is set to miss the World Cup.
Female footballers are 6 times more at risk of an ACL injury. while research and data is lacking. Young female athletes across the board are more susceptible to the injury than boys and young men.
For 20 years, we have known that there's an increased ACL injury rate in women and girls compared to men and boys. The anatomical side of things is what makes it more likely to rupture. The actual rupture is identical, whether you're male or female. It's been overloaded. What other factors impact that ligament? The obvious one to mention first is there's a menstrual cycle, and that appears to have some impact on injury. There's a fluctuation of hormones through the menstrual cycle. It's just not the full picture. It contributes, but we don't yet understand. There's a nuanced gender issue there that just needs a bit of exploring. Is it about attitudes to girls being physically active around that age? Is it accessibility, opportunity to stay physically active when they become teenagers? We don't fully understand that yet.
Society places more emphasis on support for boys, teenagers, young men than it does for girls, teenage girls, young women. Is that fair?
100%. There's no doubt that there are gender biases out there, and we need to break down those barriers.
It would be correct to say there has been some gender bias. I do think people are really starting to look at this and trying to think how to counteract it and making effort to counteract it.
I landed my leg straight and it snapped inwards. I had a pop. I actually done my ACL twice.
Sports like football and netball can be harsh on female ACLs. You pivot, jump, land, stop and start. Medical experts are calling for urgent research. The players, pretty blunt in their assessment.
I don't think the girls are very aware of it at all, and actually as a PE teacher we're trying to educate them in school about it early.
There's a lot more time and effort into studies around male injury compared to female injury.
Things to do with hip angles and even menstrual cycles, I think, and that's kind of something that no one gets told about and no one really considers.
Grassroots or elite level, you cannot speed up recovery from an ACL injury. It's devastating.
You have to come in for a general anaesthetic, you'll be put to sleep, you'll have your operation, but then you have a significant time of rehabilitation before we'd allow you to get back on the football pitch. And I don't let my patients go back to match football, netball, rugby for 12 months from the date of the surgery. How you going, mate?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All set? Brilliant.
No,
okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's normal. You wouldn't be human if you weren't a little bit anxious.
Meet 15-year-old Marley Wright. Football mad, loves the game, decent centre-back. An ACL rupture playing football will keep him out of the sport he loves for over a year. Marley, his parents and the Royal Berkshire Hospital in Reading gave Sky Sports News consent to follow his surgery and the beginning of his long, long road to recovery.
What are you doing today? Keyhole procedure, so an arthroscopy, have a look around the knee. Then we're going to take a hamstring graft, 2 tendons of his hamstrings from the same leg. And then we're going to thread that through the knee to make a new ligament.
8 specialist staff are required in theatre. They meet before the patient arrives to discuss the operation. Then it's time for Marley to be brought down to the anaesthetist.
10 of those, that's wonderful, you're doing really well, okay? So I'm just going to start something just gently drifting up here, okay? You're going to feel yourself drifting off to sleep. All you have to do, let that feeling wash over you, just take some nice, big, relaxing breaths, okay? You're doing really well, you're very safe, okay? He's asleep now, so actually, if you give him a quick kiss and then we'll look after him. We'll see you later.
The utmost care is taken when a patient is under general anaesthetic. ACL reconstruction techniques have, over the last few decades, been constantly refined. Marley's operation, which involves 2 procedures, will take about an hour and a quarter. The first part is to replace the ruptured ACL with a graft taken from his hamstring. This is the inside of Marley's knee. That is where there is no longer an ACL. The second is to strengthen the knee and help prevent a reoccurrence of injury to the ACL. All the while, the 8 staff work at pace. The anaesthetist constantly monitoring Marley's vital signs.
Was that what you call a regulation operation for you?
Yeah, it went really smoothly. We did the additional augment at the end, which takes 20 minutes extra, but it's so worth it in the long run. I love operating, don't get me wrong, I love doing my job, but it's the conversations with the families and the patients that it's just an awful experience to go through.
And just to put this into context, you just said to me, for you, this is just another day at work, but for Marley, it's huge.
It's a big deal.
How you doing, Marley? All right? Yeah, not too sleepy? Feeling okay? Well done. Well, look, it went really well, the operation. I was really pleased with it. You had a really nice big hamstring, like expected. And we've got a nice stable knee at the end, so it went really, really well. The rest of the knee was good, so there was no damage that I could find anywhere else, which is good. And we did the extra seatbelt on the outside, so you're really nice and stable now. You feel hungry or? No. I'm good. Yeah, just having a bit of a chill.
Surgery takes an hour and a quarter. That's the quick part. Rehab and a patient's understanding of what rehab entails, that's a longer process.
Are you all right?
Yeah, it's just a bit sore.
It's really important because a lot of the patients feel that once they've had the operation done, that's it, their knee's fixed. But in actual fact, it's quite a long journey. And you know that you're going to be out of sport for a year, don't you?
Yeah, it's been 8 months since I've done any sport.
Have you really got your head around that now?
Yeah.
Have a squeeze of your tummy, squeeze of your bottom. Push that knee down hard for me. And I can get my hand under there. Well done.
Well, that's hard though.
Right, so just walk over there for me. So remember, it's not stiff leg, so when we walk, we bend our knee to swing our leg through. That's it, well done.
Debbie, how fed up are you treating 15-year-olds?
It's just soul destroying. That's better than this morning as well. Lovely.
On we go! One, 2, 3, 4.
3 times a week, spend 15 minutes, only 15 minutes. In fact, it could be split into 10 minutes before a workout, before a training session, before a match, 5 minutes of stretching afterwards.
Hands on knees. Face this way. Don't go. Go. Jive. Well done. Walk again. Recovery's the walk. Recovery's the walk. I know how important it is just to prepare yourself for a training session, for a match, etc. And what I'm trying to instill in these young kids now who are 11 years old is really the preparation of it. Look happy about it. Really, you've got to make it fun, you know, and they need to be engaged with it. But generally, it's just getting a routine and getting them to understand why you're doing those things. That is for their benefit.
Oh, big concern. So for us, like, we have to make sure the kids are stretched properly, make sure that they're well oiled before they get on the basketball court, because so many injuries happen sometimes just before in the warm-up where people haven't stretched properly. I've seen it, I've experienced it, injuries from not warming up properly. So have my friends, my teammates, yeah, that is one of the key things.
10 to 15 minute warm-up, essentially, can reduce serious knee injuries by
50 to 70%.
My word.
It's so simple.
Does that surprise you?
Yes, it does actually.
The knowledge is out there. It's not a mystery. Surgeons, doctors, medical professionals throughout the UK are running seminars trying to educate coaches and parents.
I'm slightly ashamed in terms of the UK's response that we're so far behind.
When you speak to somebody that's had an ACL injury and you talk about a warm-up, how often do they say, oh, we never did a warm-up?
A lot, because they don't. People they rent pitches for an hour, so they go straight into playing. They don't think a warm-up and a cool-down and things is important. They're just interested in playing their sport.
When you're tagged, we want you with your knees slightly bent.
It's not complicated. You don't have to have a physio degree to learn how to do the warm-up. So there are ways to just try and gradually ingrain this into normal practice.
ACL injuries will still occur. Calls for funding for urgent research get ever louder, especially surrounding female ACL injury. That research and resulting data will take time. There is no magic cure, but prevention lowers the risk. Geraint Hughes, Sky Sports.